게임은 재밌으면 된다니까?
불멸의 전사 2.
On a push.
You know, I feel like tactically Zest played very, very well this game, but as far as the opening strategies, Stats had a beat for sure. Kind of all over the place, like that pylon out front, the stalkers kind of attacking up the ramp, the 2 adepts get in his base, kill 3 probes. That's not very Zest-like. So Stats showing some life here, tying it up 1-1.
Our next map, game number 3, is going to be Dust Towers. If you are just now joining us, this is GSL versus SPL. We are taking the top 2 from both tournaments, putting it in a 4-man invitational. We're going to decide once and for all who's the best in the world.
Once and for all.
Once and for all. In the upper right.
Cancel BlizzCon.
It is Zest.
I hope you guys at Blizzard are watching. Tasteless has called it. It's over after this. Shut the servers
down. For the end of time, we seal. We put it in. We put the name into an envelope and just seal it forever. Yeah. We're like, it's done. And down here in the bottom left is Stats.
Yep. And well, same thing as Orbital Shipyard guys. The probes go across, try to steal things, and then block nexuses.
The Protoss try to Protoss each other here.
Yeah. But Protoss is too good to be Protoss, even against Protoss. Well, they get partially Protossed in that back natural.
Yeah. They're so good, but they have to Protoss each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And then back off and go back to the other kind of Protoss.
I like how Protoss can be a verb, an adjective, a noun. It can be anything.
Yeah, it's a versatile word. It really is.
I mean, an adverb, an almanac. Protoss is everything.
So we got a pylon down here.
Pronoun.
This is the... This is going to lock him out.
Zeep Zorp.
Yeah, Zoop Bop.
I love CrossFinals.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah,
this is really fun. It's a really cool show match we got down here.
Yeah.
It's great to see the leagues mixing, together against each other. Guys, welcome to the studio. Peace.
They can't hear you.
Peace on. I'm yelling it. I'm shouting it down there.
Yeah. We do have.
I'm very loud, Artosis.
That's true.
That is true.
Took me a long time to get used to ignoring you, man. It was just like your booming voice.
That's right. Tosis had to wear earmuffs around me for the first 6 months.
I'm like, no, I hear you. I just shake my head and smile at him. I'm like, yeah, something
you just
about
smile and
okay.
nod, and I'm like, oh, good, he can hear me. Just keep talking to myself.
Yeah. All right, well, both of them clearing these pylons off. Looks like Stats wants to do some proxy over here. Ooh, this definitely could be some DT tech.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
All right, well, expansion's going to be coming up here, probably for both sides. Ooh,
nice.
Zest last second.
Really smooth by Zest. I love it.
Yeah.
Ooh, Artosis, I spilled my drink. Watch out.
What else
is
new?
The floor's a little bit wet.
The floor on Tasteless side is so
Normally
sticky.
here at Africa TV, they give me a sippy cup, but not today.
Yeah.
That way when I'm screaming GG, I don't spill it all over the monitor. Okay, so it's going to be a DT rush from Stats here. And it's going to be assumably a pretty close cancel here. Trying to delay that as much as possible to make it look like he really wants to expand badly. But this DT rush is going to be pretty in his face.
Yeah. Now, let's see what tech Zest goes for here.
Yeah, this is super important.
Because you normally go Robo, but you don't have to.
Oh, 2 gates first.
Couple gates. Is he just going to go for a massive gateway attack or something? Well, that wouldn't make sense. The 2 gate. Okay, the reason why he's making the additional 2 gateways right now is because it took, Stats 3 days and 3 nights to knock down that Cybernetics core. So his Nexus is so late that he's just looking and saying, okay, I mean, this is, you could. The only way you can really kill me here is a very quick 4 gate right now, and then B probably DTs. So he's making his Robo as well.
One problem here is that this is walled off, so it's not going to be that easy to get in here and do that damage. So we're probably going to see probes coming out here and start trying to continue to wall this off.
Well, I mean, the DT Shrine just finished. He's warping in his first DT, but that Robo is about to finish. So as long as Zest just makes an Observer, this is a pretty easy hold. Look, 3 sentries. Okay, it's already held. This will do 0 damage.
Okay, here we go.
Even if he didn't have a Robo right now, he'd probably be pretty much okay with 3 sentries there.
Nice force field there. Just keeping that DT away from touching the pylon. And this observer's going to come. He might actually be able to get the one of the last force fields. Does that actually trap it?
Oh,
It's
not
funny.
quite.
Yeah.
It can slip out the
yeah,
back
slip
there.
at the back there. Actually,
I think he's trying to hit
trying to
actual
just go up.
techie buildings here. And look at that, with the 3 force fields, he is able
Damn,
to kill it
Zest
off.
is so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the Warp Prisms coming up. We have a bunch more gates. Now, whenever you see somebody go DT, it's kind of a funny thing. Now, one good thing for Stats is that he didn't overdo it.
Yeah.
But DT is funny because it's like one of the only techs where you get it, you try it, and then it's kind of like, huh.
You leave it alone for a while.
You kind of stop everything for a little bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't parlay like everything else that Protoss can do. Which is why if a DT rush doesn't do anything, in this case that only took shields off buildings, so that's essentially nothing. It's kind of a funny thing because that does give a window of opportunity for the opposing player and then try to come in with some pokes or some harass.
Yeah. We do have Zest moving across the map right now. It looks like we all have a DT drop over on the other side, but this is an 8 gateway attack with no real gateway upgrades, like no blink, no charge, no glaives, nothing like that. So he just kind of wants to bludgeon in here, and he's only on 2 bases, so obviously he'll get at least his 3rd base, but he wants to do more than that considering his tech is really poor right now.
Okay, we got the DTs over here. The problem is that if Zest can get up there and do the, oh my God, I love this. Look at this. He goes right for an assassinate on the sentry. Still one does get up.
Yeah, and actually a lot of damage done by this DT drop. Really, really successful DT drop. Wow, 7 kills.
He even gets out. Nicely done.
Wow, that was really good. All right, well, Zest is going to go ahead and just kind of lift everything up here. The Immortal definitely going to help out a lot against those Stalkers.
Yeah, this is making the elevator strat.
Ooh, he didn't. He picked up the Stalkers instead of the Zealots there. Definitely a bit of a mistake, but warps in these Adepts to help clean up some probes.
This is actually a little bit sloppy here.
Yeah.
This is actually much harder than it looks what we see Zest doing.
Yeah, with the range pickup, he actually could have easily parked this somewhere else and gotten all the Zealots up here. So this has been not well done by Zest.
Still not unloading that, and well, this is kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
Okay, the War Prism gets out. It's still 2 base versus 2 base though. One of the problems. He did kill off a good amount of probes. It was 17 probes killed.
That's
so
true.
It's actually 28 workers to 20 or 30 now to 29.
Yeah, that is a big deal that at least he killed those off. But he needs to switch into some other tech, like get a Twilight, something like that. They're actually pretty much even in the worker count. But as far as tech, you still have to give it over to Stats. He has 2 Immortals. The Immortal is just a better unit than these Gateway units. He has Dark Templar tech as well, which means, of course, he has a Twilight.
Oh, now this is pretty sweet. Coming in down here and attacking at the front, too. We don't have a shot of it, but there is an attack near the entrance here. Not enough Stalkers to actually gun down the Warp Prism.
Yeah,
but also enough Immortals to finish off the ground.
Yeah, look at he's killed actually quite a few probes there. So 10 more are going down. And, well, in the meantime, that DT Warp Prism on the other side is trying to do something, but isn't quite able to get anything done.
The problem is there's just not enough output of damage there for Stats' harass. Even though he's doing a fine job with it, it just can't possibly do as much damage. And in a game where we had Stats way ahead economically, Zest has whittled him down very effectively.
Yeah, he has. And still, I mean, we haven't seen the production tab for days, so... Yeah, it doesn't look... Okay, he's finally going to make a Twilight now. That is something he needs so badly. He needs his units to move a bit better than regular Gateway units, or eventually, even behind in probes, Stats is just going to have a big Immortal count and really hurt him. In fact, he's going to have Blink pretty soon. That's a scary place for Zest, who, by the way, hasn't taken a 3rd.
Yeah, that's the only thing that worries me about him in this game, is he's doing all this cool harass, but his initial strategy, I mean, he knows it too, but it's not set up to get you in any good position if the game is really long. It's kind of meant to either win or just do so much damage to you that you kind of can't do anything.
Yeah.
Later on. And the problem is Zest needed to get an expansion ahead if that was going to be the case.
Now, Zest is actually getting glaives, which you never see in Korean PvP. Occasionally there are foreign pros that mess around with stuff like this. I mean, he's had a much bigger probe count because of the harassment for a while, but I don't think that this is really going to work out for him? Like, the Stalker Immortal is pretty good against Adepts.
You think he's trying to play outside of a normal practice regimen these guys would have? Or if it's just like maybe he knows there's some kind of weird window. Teammate versus teammate fights are oftentimes pretty funny looking.
He might look at this and say, okay, I don't really have any way to even bust force fields at this point. Maybe the Adepts are something he thinks could work for him. But I don't know, man. He comes down with like 5 Adepts and a few Gateway units.
Yeah.
And
the
this
Immortals,
is not
the Archon.
good.
Granted, that Archon's not in a great spot in this fight. It's, yeah. That's going to do it.
Yeah, kind of getting slapped down here. Blink plus Immortals. Good Protoss stuff. Adepts,
Zest was like
not as much.
Doing all this fancy stuff until Stats walked across the map and Hulk smashed him.
Yep.
And that will be game number 3. Stats now taking a 2-1 lead.
Indeed. All right, well, Stat's going to be very happy about that. Don't forget, he does not have a guaranteed spot at BlizzCon yet, so if he can manage to take this tournament down, that is a big bunch of points towards qualifying.
Well, it's time to now go on to our 4th map. Gotta say, thought it was a cool strat to start out with Zest, but I think he got kind of sloppy in the later part.
Yeah, I liked some of the stuff that he was messing around with there. Like the 8-gate follow-up really quickly against the failed DT was like, it was kind of cute, but the Twilight was unforgivably late. That was simply a poor decision by Zest.
Yeah.
And to go Glaives, well, the thing is it was already so late, I guess it didn't really matter at that point. But you know, Stats just kind of teched up normally and was fine because he had units that were good, that could actually move around and do something.
Well, let's see how game number 4 goes. You know, it is always weird when you have 2 teammates playing against each other because they've practiced out all these phases of the games in all their builds, and I'm not sure if he was trying to maybe surprise Stats with something back there, but I don't know.
Well, it's probably a good lesson on, like, you have to, like, no matter what you do, get a Twilight. Just get a Twilight in PvP, man. Like, that was a wild game. All right, I mean, I guess we'll see if Zest can bring it back and get into that.
It also seemed like Zest was trying to do a little bit of what he succeeded in doing in Game 2. If you remember, in Game 2, he locked Stats off a base, took it out, and then managed to escape. And it seemed like that's what he was trying to do by, maybe denying a third base and then coming in from behind and getting that back base. But it did not work.
Yeah.
He also had a really weird moment where he was hitting from 2 sides when the strat maybe could have done something. Then he, sent his Zealots and Stalkers over to where the 3 Immortals were that were fighting in the back base when he should have gone to the probes.
Yeah, and let's not forget when he did the elevator strategy. The Warp Prism pickup range is really, really long, and the fact that he was against an Immortal picking up Stalkers to drop instead of the Zealots first is like... Well, and then he leaves some of them down there. It's like, well, I mean, this is...
Especially because it was 3 Zealots that were left down there.
Yeah, I know. And
there were probes pulled. I mean, that's when you're like, ooh.
That was one of the worst...
Zealots in here right now.
If I could borrow a poker term, that was one of the worst donkeying of units that I've seen in a long time.
Oh, Artosis.
Well,
you just continue to expand the esports lexicon. Well, Game 4. Who do you think takes this?
I think Stats will probably take it down. That game was, like, really, really bad from Zest. So